there's two types of seducers. There's the empathetic seducers, they're empaths, and then you have the psychopaths, right? Those are the extreme. And in between those two, there are gray areas where most people fall into, because not everyone is going to be a psychopath and not everyone's going to be an empath. So in between there, most of us fall. But when you look at yourself and you say, okay, which side of the spectrum am I more under, or towards? So for example, if you are someone that don't care, that you just have no feelings, you don't care about the feelings of whoever you're seducing, you just don't care. You're leaning, if you're not, towards the psychopathic place. Now, if you just care too much, where you can't even help it, you can't stop caring, you're towards the empath side. And then in between there, you have narcissists that are towards the psychopathic side, and they don't care, or it's about them and about them winning, so they don't care about how, as long as they win. And empaths are on the other spectrum, where they just want to be there and resolve problems, and they just overbearing with giving people attention, because they just that's who they are. They just feel everything, and they want to take people's problems away as if they could. So when you are in the middle, you can make adjustments. When you're in the extreme, it's really difficult for a psychopath to not be a psychopath. I don't know if they even could just stop being a psychopath, but an empath as well, I don't know if they could stop caring like they do. But when you're in the middle, you can make adjustments, saying, okay, you know what? I'm leaning towards this end a little too hard, and maybe I should lean the other way. Or you can say, hey, maybe I should make this adjustment. And that's why you want to analyze yourself. And no one's going to know better than you where you fall between there. And to be honest, some of the greatest seducers, some of the best, most effective seducers are psychopaths. They really are. Narcissists. These are people, since they can turn their feelings off, or they don't have feelings, or they can't feel and put themselves in other people's shoes, they don't have any empathy, they can actually just do and say whatever it takes to manipulate people, because they don't care about the outcome. They don't. And those are some of the best seducers out there are those psychopaths and those narcissists. And some of the worst seducers are those empaths, because you figure, oh, well, if they're so caring, then wouldn't people want them? But not really, because they're overbearingly caring. It's like when you eat too much sugar or too much candy, and it gets to a point that you can't take it. And you don't want to be in those extremes. You definitely want to be somewhere in the middle, leaning towards whatever your character is, because we all are in a gray area. There's no, like I said, there's no black or white. It's a gray area in between. And you definitely want to keep a balance, but you can't keep a balance unless you're aware of where you stand. So the first thing to do is to analyze yourself and say, hey, and be honest with you, like, where am I? Where am I in this spectrum? And once you realize where you are, maybe you're in the right, perfect sweet spot. Maybe you're in the middle. Maybe you're leaning towards the psychopathic narcissist. Maybe you're leaning towards the empath, and then make adjustments accordingly. And you should be able to tell by your life and your experience what's been working and what hasn't been working. So I want to put that out also, because I think that sometimes we're in the other end of the spectrum, but we're the ones getting seduced, and we fall for these charming narcissists, right? We believe them because they're great at that. They'll do whatever it takes to win. And we got to be careful with that as well, because once we get to know ourselves and where we are, then we're able to spot people a little better. At least we're not going to be 100% accurate 100% of the time, but at least we're going to be able to go, tread water a little lightly, like just go slowly into situations so that we're not affected in the future, because a lot of these things don't come up until long later. And sometimes it's too late. So I wanted to put that out. If there's someone out there that needs to listen to this, please share, and make sure you subscribe.